we're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive.
I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible.
Happy Saturday, happy Sunday, wherever you are. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. We'll do this in two parts. The first part, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this weight loss. Do it without loose skin. The second live, I'm going to do another live. I'll bring Steve in. We'll just join the same room. We'll be in the same room together. So Steve, if you're watching, I'm going to, after this, we'll set up in the office and we'll just do it in there. We'll just see if we can get us both on. But am I fasting right now? No. We actually have a fast coming up. Well, we start tomorrow. So if you guys want to join, you can. We've got the JR72 that's going to be starting tomorrow. And that is a juice fast. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because one of the major keys to being able to weight, large amounts of weight without loose skin, is by hydrating yourself properly. I always get a lot of pushback on this because people want to talk about the elasticity of the skin. They want to talk about the collagen. They want to talk about genetics. But the reality is, although these things are factors, your biggest factors are actually your hydration levels. And people always want to talk about the science and, like, where's my research and all that stuff. Well, that's the reason why I wanted to bring my brother on, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, the only thing that matters is results. We could go look at journals and we could go look at studies and we could go look at theories, and that's all good. It sounds real good. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the results to back up what you're theorizing, I don't really care. And when I say results, I'm talking about in real life. People got to be able to take what you say, apply it, and get those results in real life. And that's what I have, right? We've got results of, I don't know, so many people, probably 30 people I've interviewed at this point, maybe more, that I've actually showcased on my YouTube channel, who have lost, anywhere from 20 pounds to 200 pounds. The mass majority of them doing it without any loose skin. So what you guys want to do is focus on hydrating yourself. And the way you do that is by eating your fruit and drinking your fruit juice. Okay, this has to be naturally squeezed fruit juice. If you don't have natural fruit juice, your results are going to vary. You could use natural fruit juice. You can also use water. Okay, and we're talking about using this in combination with fasting. So that's how you're going to be able to lose very large amounts of weight without loose skin. You've got to combine fasting plus hydration through fruit juice or plant juice. Really, it doesn't have to be fruit. It could be greens if you want. And then you also want to stay away from things that are dehydrating. So a lot of times you'll see people promoting fasting along with coffee. Now, there's some pretty good coffee out there. You know what I mean? There's some much better coffee than what you would typically get from, your local cafe, the Crack Bucks and stuff like that. However, what we can't get around is that coffee is a diuretic. Coffee is a diuretic. So when you're looking to lose a large amount of weight and you don't want to have loose skin, you got to make sure that you're not consuming diuretics. These are going to cause you to expel water. Now, you could use diuretics. They could be very beneficial in certain cases. However, for this particular case, it's usually going to be detrimental, especially if you do it as a daily practice. So what you got to start to do is get into a place where you are developing your lifestyle around focusing on your hydration. The other thing you guys got to figure out is, what foods you're eating that are dehydrating. There's a lot of foods like cheese and even meat, which, most people promote meat as this incredible nutritional source. That's debatable, but the one thing we can't really debate is the hydration that you get from eating meat. It is going to be a dehydrating food. So meat, pizza, cheese in general, dairy products, ice cream, things that have liquid but aren't hydrating. You know what I mean? These mucus forming foods are going to hinder you from being able to lose the weight and not have loose skin. And that's a major problem. And if you don't understand this, you're going to think, okay, maybe I can have some yogurt and I can have some things that are going to be good for my the probiotics of my gut, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, our focus is on losing a large amount of weight without loose skin. There are different times where you can focus on other parts of your wellness journey. You don't have to try to do it all at once. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is think about what's the most important thing right now. There's so many people out there that want to lose a large amount of weight, but they're scared to do it because they're nervous about the loose skin. And I want you guys to know that 90% of the resources out there are going to tell you have to have loose skin. Now, I want to be clear because we talk about loose skin oftentimes, and there's not a good distinction of what loose skin is. If you guys want to know what loose skin is, go on YouTube, type in weight loss, loose skin, and then you will see people that have lost, anywhere from 70 pounds or so up to 200 pounds or 400 pounds, whatever it is, and they can pull the skin off their body like it's a shirt, like it's a garment, where you're going to have, 40 pounds of loose skin after you've started your weight loss journey. So that is the extreme loose skin that we're essentially talking about avoiding. You're always going to have a little bit of loose skin, meaning that you're going to need to go to the gym, maybe tone up and things of that nature. But as far as, having to maintain, as far as how much loose skin you're going to be dealing with when you complete your fast or when you complete your weight loss, that's really what we're talking about. If all you got to do is you got a small little pudge, less than 3 pounds of quote unquote loose skin that you just got to tighten up, maybe hit the gym, whatever, that's easy to deal with. But it is a major challenge dealing with 40 pounds of loose skin without surgery, which is obviously what the mainstream method, that's really the main option. So what kind of water to drink? I saw somebody was asking, distilled water, spring water. Look, I recommend distilled water. The reason I recommend distilled water is because distilled water has the ability to strip inorganic materials out of your system. This is going to help you hydrate better. It's also going to help you eliminate toxicity more efficiently. So it's not just for lubricating the system, and it's not just for hydrating the system. It will actually do more work in your body than other waters because it's empty. Distilled water is pure water. There's no added minerals or anything else to it. And a lot of people think that's a bad thing. They look at it as a turnoff. But the reality is water is a sponge. And so one of the benefits of hydrating your body is to use the water to scrub yourself out. Water is the most powerful solvent. So you can take some distilled water, and because it's empty, there's nothing in the water, nothing's been diluted in the water, and it'll go into your system and it will start collecting excess inorganic material out of your system. And that's going to make everything more efficient. Your weight loss, your detoxification, as well as your ability to hydrate more efficiently, once again, to avoid loose skin. I see some people are saying they're starting their dry fasting. We've been talking about dry fasting recently. And dry fasting is an incredible tool. And I'll often get asked, can I dry fast, lose weight, right, using dry fasting and not have to worry about loose skin? And the reality is, yes, you can. Because the goal here is to hydrate well before you start fasting. Then, once you finish with your fasting, or once you start doing your actual detox, you're going to notice that your body will manufacture hydration. So you don't have to worry about not drinking water while you're doing your dry fasting. You hydrate well first, you start doing your dry fasting, and then your body will actually create water internally. It'll get water from the fat stores, but it also get water from the inflammation in your system. But the big key here with fasting and being able to lose large amounts of weight without loose skin is really autophagy. That's really what it boils down to. By using fasting, the body's going to start recycling that old dead protein, right? That loose skin is going to start recycling those cells and putting them to work instead of them sitting there not doing anything, not being a benefit. So there's a major distinction to be made when it comes to traditional weight loss or when it comes to like more modern with fasting. Okay. Traditional weight loss is going to encourage dehydration of the body. And that's a major issue because if you dehydrate the body, and oftentimes we're going to do this dehydration technique as a way to lose extra weight. So this is a common practice. You go in the sauna. The saunas can be beneficial, right? Because you could detox, but you also lose a lot of water. The question is, are you replenishing that water? Also, if you guys have ever noticed, people like to wear those sweatsuits, those suits that you put on and they hold in heat and it just makes you really hot and then you sweat a lot and then you have all this water dripping out. Yes, are you losing weight? You absolutely are. It's water weight in the most truest form of it. Like you're literally just releasing tons of water, pounds of water. So what that does is it actually encourages loose skin. Even if you don't do those extra things, you just go to the gym, this more traditional method of going to the gym and, doing loose, going to the gym and exercising, doing a whole bunch of cardio and stuff of that nature, then your chances of developing loose skin are very high. Because if you don't couple your traditional method of weight loss through just working out with proper dietary strategy, if you're not rehydrating yourself properly, then you're going to develop a lot of loose skin. Now we're talking if you've got probably, I would say anywhere from 50 pounds or more to lose. Under 50 pounds, you can get away with some bad technique and some bad practices and not have loose skin. This is where your genetics come into play. This is where, some of them other factors will come into play where if the stars align for you, you could lose pounds, 50 pounds, and not really have to worry about any loose skin. Okay. But we don't want to really base our methodology off that because that's like, it really takes away your control as an individual. Like you really can't control whether or not you're going to be dealing with loose skin or not because you don't know if you've got those genes or if you know what I mean, if the stars are aligning perfect for you. So it's better to approach it from a place of knowledge, understanding. Okay, I got to hydrate well. I'm going to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables during this time. I'm going to remove the dehydrating foods from my lifestyle. So that's going to be your meat and your dairy products, your processed foods, refined sugars, things of that nature. And then you're going to avoid like diuretics, So we're going to increase hydration through lifestyle, proper eating. We're going to decrease dehydration. Then we're going to implement fasting so that we can turn on autophagy. And those three key elements are really how you could lose, 100 pounds without loose skin or even more, and like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I wanted to bring my brother on to talk about it because he actually has lost 200 pounds and did not have loose skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this live. I'm going to move to a different room and see if we can get both on. We're going to see if we can get both on this live stream together because I can't invite him because he's got a new account. And then, okay, so hopefully y'all can hear us. It's going to take a little while for people to get in. I tried to do this live stream the technical way, where I just bring Steve in from his TikTok account, but TikTok was not having that.
They weren't having that at all.
They say, hey man, you don't have access yet. And I don't know how to get access because I don't have TikTok.
Right.
I mean, I do now, but
You do now. You got to build it up. They're gonna make you go through the trenches before you can go live.
yeah, even before you can join, which I think is a little interesting, like you can't even join.
That's
Like-
correct. That's correct. So, everybody, if y'all could just put a 1 in the chat if you could hear us, so we can get. That's
Like-
correct. That's correct. So, everybody, if y'all could just put a 1 in the chat if you could hear us, so we can get started. Because I want to do kind of like an impromptu interview with Steven and talk about loose skin and how to lose large amounts of weight without loose skin.
Got some ones?
Okay.
Is that one?
One coming. All right, cool. So as I was saying before, I don't know if you guys caught my the live stream I was doing. Basically, what we're doing is we're talking about how to lose a large amount of weight without loose skin. So that's the topic. And what I was talking about before is, in my opinion, the only thing that matters is outcomes. So I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to see someone who has lost hundreds of pounds without having loose skin. So welcome, Stephen Michael. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you. Hello, TikTok. I don't have a TikTok, and I've never been on the platform. And for those of you that are part of YouTube or you're part of Instagram or you follow me on Instagram, then you know probably a nice amount about my story. But if you found AJ through TikTok, you may have seen some videos I've done, but this is my first introduction to you. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about where you were, like how you started your wellness journey. We'll talk a little bit, just kind of, the footnotes of how you got to where you are today and with you, being able to lose so much weight without loose skin. And then we'll see. I don't know if we'll be able to even see those comments, but if we can see some comments, we'll see what we can do. This is so far away to try to get us both on the screen. But so Steve, when did you very first start your weight loss journey, and how much did you weigh when you started?
So when I very first started the journey, it was about 7 years ago. And during that time, I probably was in a place where a lot of other people are or have been. I was in a very bad relationship. I was married, and it was an abusive relationship where I was the abused. And I was struggling with a lot of emotional trauma and really not having a place in the world. Dealing with a lot of that emotional trauma and then not being able to cope with it, I found that my weight significantly started to increase. And as it began to increase, I started to get sicker. I started having tons of different symptoms that I'd never experienced before. I was dealing with diabetes, crazy neuropathy. I had a lot of issues in my joints, in my back, my knees, explosive inflammation in my wrist, to the point where I went to the doctor and he basically was like, well, it's basically arthritis, but it's not arthritis. But I really couldn't even use my hands because my wrists were so inflamed and they hurt so much. I had to wear braces on them for about a year just so I stopped moving them so the body can do some work to try to heal them. So it made it very difficult to use the bathroom. It made it difficult to shower. It made it difficult to just simply live life. And it got to the point where I'm working 2 jobs and not really in a very good place. And it got to the point where I had to make a decision. And the decision that I made was to leave the relationship or the situation that got me in that situation in the first place. And then you reached out and you were like, well, listen, I got something I want you to try. But when I very first made the decision that I was going to start doing some sort of weight loss, or my weight loss journey started, I was about 397 pounds. So I was, I probably had hit 400 at some point, but the actual scale number that I know of was 397. And at that point, I I said, okay, I have to make a choice. So what I started doing, like anybody else, I started going to the gym, right? I listened to everybody. I went to the gym and I started eating right. And literally my meals consisted of chicken breasts, white rice, and broccoli. And that was what I did. And of course, just like anything else, if you start changing your diet, I was eating, of course, just the standard American diet. If you start changing your diet, you are going to lose weight. A lot of it is going to be a lot of inflammation right off the top, right? But you're going to start losing weight. And I got down to, it was about 360, 355, and, oh, I'm sorry, it was about 360 from going to the gym, changing my diet. But that was over the span of months. It was over the span of a long period of time. And it, of course, stopped. I plateaued. And I was still going to the gym. I was still going running. I was working out. And I'm like, this is not working. I started taking, pills. I was doing Jenny Craig. I was going to, Bally's Total Fitness. I was doing, I was looking into Weight Watchers, right? It was bad. At one point, actually before I started, I had reached out to a doctor about getting surgery, weight loss surgery. And I ended up calling my insurance company to see what it would cost. And at the time, and I think they're cheaper now, but at the time it was about $14,000 that it was going to cost. And they were only going to cover a part of it because I didn't have a diagnosis that was life-threatening. Even though I was 400 pounds, right, there was no diagnosis.
I mean, that's morbid obesity every day of the week.
Yeah.
So the fact that the insurance companies wouldn't cover it, saying there was no, it's common sense. Morbid obesity, that's what it is.
Correct. But there was no diagnosis, right, which would need to be diagnosed by a doctor. And there would also need to be comorbidities with it. So they would have to diagnose me with diabetes, cancer, right, some other issue that would threaten my life in order for them to cover more. Once again, this is a little bit ago and things may have changed. I don't know. But obviously, it still wouldn't cover completely. I still had an out-of-pocket cost of about $5,000. And in my head, I said, well, I don't know if I want to do this because as I researched it, I saw about loose skin. And it to me, I saw that and I said, you know what? I would rather not even lose the weight. Wow. I'll be honest, right? That's where my mind was. Because I already had issues with the way that I looked. I was already unhappy with how I looked. And I felt that this would only make me look worse, in my opinion. I was like, listen, at least if I'm big, then at least I'm just big. But mentally, to put myself in a situation where I lose a bunch of weight, but then I still have the issue of being unhappy with myself and having the confidence to, walk around or go to the beach and do these things that I want to do and have loose skin on my arms or my legs and my thighs. Like, it just was like, I don't want that. So I was just basically getting to the point, even after losing weight, where I'm like, I think that I don't know what to do. And that's when you reached out and you said, man, I want you to try fasting. You said, me and John, we've been working on some things. We've been testing some stuff. John's had great outcomes. And I said, okay, right? There was no hesitation. I said, okay, I'll start. I don't even know what to do. And this was before, there was prep. There was none of that. It was just like, hey, man, this is what you got to do. Just do it.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
You got to do what you got to do. And I just started. Now, I don't recommend that today because it's more difficult for people, but you have to look at your level of desperation. So people hear desperation as a bad connotation to it. We hear desperate and you say, I don't want to be desperate. Well, I personally like to work with people that are desperate. I like to work with people that are willing to do anything that it takes to get these outcomes, because I understand that if they do what it takes and they follow the process, then they're going to have the same results that I had, and they're going to be much happier with their life. They're going to be able to, of course, lose the weight and then get to a place where they can be more comfortable within themselves. Mentally, they'll be able to focus on other things other than their weight. Right? Like when you're 400 pounds or when you're just morbidly obese, you feel like everyone's looking at you. You don't want to travel. You don't want to go outside and get sunlight. You don't want to walk. You can't go to the amusement park. There's so much that you can't do and so much that you think about. To be honest, there's so many people out there, like your normal people that have no idea the things that we go through. And I say we because we're the same people, right? If you've never been that size, you just really can't truly understand, right? You can empathize, with certain things, but there's certain things that you're just never really going to understand. The things that you just don't really think about. So living uncomfortable like that was no longer an option for me. And I got to the point where I just basically said, you know what? If I don't fix my health, I'm going to die. And that's where I was going. And then I said, well, I don't really know about fasting. And I know Chris says it's good, but the Chris James sitting here right now is not the Chris James that came to me 7 years ago. And the information that I had was not what I have now. And I said, you know what? If it kills me, if I end up hurting myself, well, guess what? I'm going to be in the same situation or worse if I don't do anything. And my level of desperation was so high, I literally said, I don't care. I'm going to do it. And if I go out, I'll go out at least being smaller, and at least I tried. And in my life, I did everything I could do. And this is me at, like 30 years old, 29. I was right around 29, 30 years old. And, with 2 children, and was like, if I go, I go.
Wow.
Because I was headed out the door anyway.
That's deep, man. And this is why I really wanted you to come on and do this with me, because I have never been 400 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. I've been overweight before.
Yeah.
But to be 400 pounds, like you said, that's a different class. And if you don't know, you don't know. And through teaching and building this brand, I've gotten opportunity to really start to empathize with people in that situation, having to get the extender for the seatbelt on the airplane, or having to buy 2 tickets because you're too big to be in one seat. It's uncomfortable for trying to get 3 people in that row. Not being able to get your seatbelt on in the car, or driving the steering with your belly. Like there's all the not being able to tie your shoes. There's so much that comes along with the weight that people don't really know about or don't think about. And honestly, with all of that being said, you have to then juxtapose that to losing the weight and having loose skin.
Yeah.
And still, at the very beginning, it was like, I don't know, man. I mean, that is it's insane. It's almost as if loose skin is the major obstacle people have to overcome sometimes when it comes to losing a large amount of weight.
It is. There are so many people that come to me and they're like, listen, I love your journey. I love what you've done, but I'll be honest, I'm afraid of loose skin. And even when I tell them my experience, I show them, right, they're still like, I just don't know, right? And I can understand that. I felt the exact same way, that level of that hesitation, because we've seen it so much, it is the norm. Like when you lose large amounts of weight, and I think you said in your other live, like we're not talking 20, 30 pounds, right? We're not talking about, what you say, someone has a little bit of pudge. They can get away with doing things that are not beneficial, but then on social media, you're just that's the advice, right? But when you're losing, if you have 100 pounds to lose, that's a large amount of weight, right? Not even just 100, probably 50, 60, 70, 80, right? You start going over that number, that's a large amount of weight. And in the standard diet world, fitness world, it is absolutely normal and common to have large amounts of loose skin when you lose that much weight. Everyone has it, right? Not everyone.
It's about, I would say it's over 90%.
I would say probably yes, and probably a little more. I'm talking about people that lose that much weight, and they've done it traditionally. I'm not talking about and we're talking about no surgery. So I've never been under the knife. Never needed to. And, but people look at it and they see their journey as, okay, I'm going to lose the weight. I know that because I have issues with an apron belly, or I know that I have issues with my arms, or I have issues with really big thighs where there's a lot of weight on my thighs. I'm going to have loose skin here. because this is what happens, because I've been bigger. They just say, oh, the skin just stretches out. There's nothing you can do about it, right? I mean, I've had trainers that I would go to the gym and I'd hire a trainer and they would tell me the same thing. They would literally say, no, this is normal. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can do. There's nowhere to get around it. And it's just like, you just have to accept it. If you don't want to accept it, two options. You have the option to then no longer go through this process and lose all the weight, or you can already understand that you are going to have to get surgery. And at this point in life where we are, surgery has become so natural, or it has become so accessible. It used to be something that only the starlets can get. It used to be something that only people with large amounts of money or the wealthy can get after they've had weight loss, or if they're just feeling uncomfortable about themselves. But now you have the ability to put your weight loss, or I'm sorry, your surgery on a credit card. You have the, or let's say you don't even have a credit card. You have the ability to open a payment plan with the doctor. So you don't even have to worry about, well, I don't have the money, enough credit, 600 or 650 or so, right? You'll be able to go and then you'll be able to get a payment plan from the doctor themselves. So and the reason they do this is because it happens so much. It's such a barrier to entry. It completely stops people from even desiring to move forward.
I've been seeing in the chat.
Oh, you can see that?
I can see a little bit in the chat. People are asking for support. They're asking for help. You know, I think somebody mentioned them being 500 pounds. Listen, I'm gonna say this now, and we're gonna continue. We have a host of challenges we do throughout. These challenges are designed to help educate you all, but also give you a space where you can learn about weight loss, healthy weight loss, how to do it without loose skin, how to support yourself, after you've gotten the results you want. And we host these challenges, and we have a challenge starting tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow is the first introductory day, but the actual preparation for the challenge is going to be on Monday. So if you guys are seeing this live, either now or after this live stream, you can go in my bio here on TikTok. You can go in my bio, and I'm gonna have a link in there. All you do is click the link, and at the very top, it'll say join the JR72, and then you guys can join the challenge. People in there ready, waiting to start. They've been biting at the bit.
They've been definitely chomping.
Chomping at the bit to get in. And we're going to be hosting a juice fast, which is, like I mentioned on the first live stream, it is the best way to hydrate is through your fruits and vegetables. So I know some of you all you're talking about, you're desperate, you're ready to take action. We're going to keep, elaborating on Stephen's story. But if you guys need to know what you could do, this is the best place on the internet. I'm going to keep it 100%.
Yeah,
And a healthy alternative wellness brand is the best place to learn this content. There's not one brand on the internet right now with our size and our history and our outcomes that is promoting this type of weight loss. I'm not saying that there's no one doing it, but at this magnitude, and that makes a difference because when you can do this with people who know what they're talking about, we've got hundreds of testimonials, it gives you confidence. And you can learn from so many different people. So click the link in my bio and join the JR72. Stephen, did you have... felt like you wanted to say something.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, I did. I was going to say with juice fasting, because I started with water. And if I could go back, right? Let's say hindsight is 20/20. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20 due to the fact that you can look back and you can see the mistakes that you've made. You can see work well. You have new information. You have a new set of skills, right? There's a lot of things that you can do. So the reason that we started the juice fast at the start of the year is because we are looking to we're creating a year-long journey for people. And the juice fast is first for a reason. If you've never done fasting, or if you struggle to do fasting, the reason the juice fast is first is because it is the easier fast to do also. So that's also why I said that if I would go back in history and restart, I would start with juice fasting. And the reason for that is because it is easier. I mean, I went, I don't know what I can say on TikTok. I went through, you might say anything on TikTok.
No, you can't.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
They ban people on TikTok.
Oh, okay, no, all right. But, like I struggled. And when we always look to be transparent. And part of being transparent is letting you know what to expect, because it's not all bubbles and butterflies. It's not all, you know what I mean? Like, you hear about all the benefits, right? And I'm not saying there's this crazy dark side to fasting, which there kind of is, right? But there's something that are going to be called detox symptoms, right? That are going to happen. And fasting is going to allow you to help to mitigate or decrease those symptoms as you go through this process. So it is like an usher that helps bring you to the fasting world, and it is a much gentler starting point. And not only is it much gentler to start, it provides you with a deep level of in what you're about to do in the process in and of itself. If you've never lost 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds in a day, right? I mean, and you're only, depending on, of course, where you're at and where you start. Those are some numbers that you can see in the beginning. I mean, I think the most that I lost in one day was like right around that first week that I started was about 7 or 8 pounds. I don't remember exactly, but I saw that and I was sold. One day I saw that and I was instantly sold, and then I kept losing 5, 4. Right, my very first week, I mean, I lost like 25 pounds.
Wow.
In 5 days, not 7 days, 5 days. Mm-hmm. Right, so I averaged 5 pounds a day. But when I say average, that's because I had a 7-pound day, and then I had 5s and 5s, right, and then I had a 3, and then after that point, I was completely sold. And I said, Chris, there's no way. This is not right. My scale is broken. I literally went and bought a new scale. I said, there's something is wrong, because I've been dieting. I'm 37. I've been dieting my entire life. My entire life, I've been dieting. Lipozene, Ali. I mentioned and Nutrisystem. I mean, I was ordering these pills from China before Shein and before Temu and before all of that stuff. So this was risque, right? This is 10 years ago, and they came in a white bottle with this cheap, and they were like, "This, you're gonna lose weight. It's the best Chinese, da 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 da." And I started them, and I definitely started losing weight. And then I started to get crazy, breakouts. My skin was getting super dry. I was basically diarrhea. It wasn't just poop, but it was like diarrhea, and it hurt. And I took them for about 2 weeks because I was that desperate. I was like 10 or 12 pounds. And I said, I ain't taking these no more. Right? Like, they literally made me sick. But I was like, I'll do anything to lose this, because nothing was working. And then as I go through my journey, and then now I realize that a lot of the reason that I was not able to lose weight, because I was trying to just simply lose weight or release the weight from my body, but I didn't understand that I was dealing with so many things emotionally and mentally that my body was saying, I can't let you lose this weight, because I'm using it to help protect you. I'm using it to store emotions. I'm using it to store trauma. And if I lose it, or if I decrease this from your fat cells or your fat stores, then you're going to now experience all that. And the subconscious says, I don't want you to experience that. So it made it very difficult for me to lose weight. And if you've never heard that before, make sure you hit the like, because if you've never heard that before. But this is something that a lot of people struggle with that they don't even realize. A lot of times you're struggling with weight loss because you don't realize that the physicality is not your only problem. Your body is protecting you. Your fat is armor. It is designed to protect you, and it's not letting you lose that weight because you have these traumas that you need to focus on and deal with. So in this challenge, which I've been doing these for a couple of years, but in this challenge specifically, which I've never done, you have, of course, your course content, but during the live, so I'm going to be going live throughout this challenge, and I'm going to be teaching specifically, and I'm going to be teaching mostly on emotions. I'm going to be teaching on how to release some of these emotions and some different techniques that you can use to help release some of these emotions. And then when you process and release emotions and old traumas, even small ones, assist in your weight loss journey. So not only are you going to, of course, decrease weight, right? You're going to do it in a way that you are feeding the body, you're hydrating the body, so you're not going to have to be worried about having loose skin. And then on top of that, you're going to have a more balanced look on your emotions, which change the outlook on your life, right? It'll help you change your diet. It literally is the first step to setting you on the path to your wellness journey. And that's what I really love about these like challenges, and one of the reasons why I would suggest juice fasting to start.
Yeah, guys, jump into the links in the bio. Jump in there. Just the link takes you to all our social media stuff. The first link should be the JR72. You guys can join. We've got a couple different options there. We put together an appetite suppressant tea, okay, to help you guys through the challenge. I know some of y'all are in the chat. Oh, I want to do it, but my mind won't let me. You might be dealing with cravings or worried about cravings or just the dizziness or the detox symptoms. We don't just show you what you can do or how you can do it. We also give you tools to support you. So make sure that you go and check that out. But Stephen, I wanted to ask you, how long did it actually take you? First of all, how much weight did you lose at your lowest, and how long did it take you? And what did your skin look like at that time?
So my journey has been up and down. Not in a bad way, but you mean like which part of the journey? What you talking about?
Did it take you to lose the most weight that you ever had lost? What did your skin look like during that time? I had three things, but I done forgot the other one.
I think I understand the question.
It's pretty clear. How long did it take you to get to your lowest weight?
Oh, well, I've been on my journey for 7 years. So
when you recorded your 200-pound weight loss, how long did it take you to get there? Golly, bro, this is an easy question.
Well, it is, but it isn't. There's a whole story behind it.
No, forget the story.
Okay, all right.
How long did it take you to lose 200 pounds?
Hey, man, TikTok, don't let him yell at me like this. Do
y'all see how many different ways did I say it? I don't want the story.
So
how long did it take?
So from beginning to the end, I would say about 6 years.
All right, so 6 years from beginning to end. Now, when you lost that 200 pounds, what was your skin like at that time?
It looked good.
No loose skin.
No. I mean, the only thing, if you, this is my arm. As you can see, you know what I mean? I ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Who rub your arms like that, man?
Oh, my bad.
Nobody want to see that.
I'm just trying to show the people, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everything is good, right? Obviously I have clothes on, but
rub it on yourself like that.
You know what I mean? Everything is
good. This ain't that kind of show.
But here's the thing. On my arm, like that is my skin, right? There's now let me say this, right? You can't go into this with the expectation that you are going to completely reverse everything and you're going to go back to an 18-year-old body, okay? We do have to understand there are limitations. And when I say limitations, like you can't expect to look like that 18-year-old on TikTok or Instagram who has never been overweight and they just look perfect. Now, I'm not going to say that, fasting can't help you get there. It may take a little bit of time, and your diet's going to have to be absolutely amazing, but realistically speaking, for most people, we have to temper our expectations. So, are you going to have loose skin? Are you going to look like a Biggest Loser participant? Absolutely not, right? But depending on how you go about this process, results may vary. So we have people, there's other spaces in this sphere, I'll say in our world of fasting, that they teach fasting, but also using electrolytes, different salts, and things of that nature, right? And we have found that even in their community, they deal with loose skin. So all fasting is not the same. So when you're watching this information out there about, you hear AJ and you say, oh, well, They say that you're not gonna have loose skin, but then I lost 100 pounds and I have loose skin. How are you fasting? Tell me about your fasting experience. Right?
What were you eating?
What were you eating? What were you adding to your water? Tell me about your experience. And I haven't heard it very often, but there's been a couple times where I have seen it, where people have come to me and then they tell me what they were having, and they were using snake juice. Or they were using electrolyte packets and things of that nature, and they had loose skin. What does that tell me? It tells me that a lot of these electrolyte packets are not doing what they're supposed to do, which is supposed to be hydrating you, but if you were properly hydrated, you wouldn't be done with loose skin.
Oh,
right?
Whoa.
Or it's telling me that you are going through a process and you're going through your refeeds and you're eating foods that are dehydrating. So while your body is still processing out toxins, while your body is still going through its process, you're then dehydrating it, which can cause bouts of loose skin. Now, once again, still, these people, they're not walking around like Biggest Loser participants. Please understand that, right? But it's enough for them to say, I thought that I wasn't going to have this little bit of something. Well, I mean, you wouldn't, but when you start adding things to your fasting that are unnatural, this is what's going to happen. So when you see people, I saw a video with Dana White recently, and I watched the video and I love the fact that he spoke about fasting because he has such a loud voice, but then he went through his protocol and I instantly cringed. Because people see that and they're like, oh, Dana White, right? He's in MMA, he's a fighter, he knows what he's talking about, he's an authority, right? But his authority does not come in fasting. His authority does not come in weight loss. That's not where his authority is. His authority is in fighting. His authority is in business, right? And he's telling people, now I'm not saying that he told people to do exactly what he did. He just told people what he did, right? And I think that he lost like 12, 15 pounds, something like that. It was, it was like 5 days, or not even 5 days. I think it was 70, 80 hours or something like that. And he was telling people, I had bone broth, every so hours or whatever. And I think he said he was doing electrolytes or something, but he had bone broth and maybe that's something else. And of course, you look at his before and afters, and he lost weight. He toned up a little bit. But you're talking about 3 days and 3.5 days, right? You're really not losing a bunch of fat. There is going to be fat in there, but you're going to, of course, be getting rid of a lot of waste in the gut, which is going to help decrease the size of your belly. And then you're also going to be getting rid of or decreasing the inflammatory markers in your body. So inflammation comes down, so then water weight comes down, helps to tighten things up also. So bloating as well, all that stuff comes down. But in a small microcosm, yes, that's okay, that can work. But when you take that and you extend it over 20, 30, 40, 60 days, a year, right, where you're consistently going through periods of fasting, that is going to hurt you. And you're not going to know that unless you have someone that has the experience or someone that has been through it that can tell you, no, I lost all my weight this way, and this is what you can expect. Most of the people that are teaching you to have, a little bit of electrolyte, a little bit of that, they never lost 200 pounds with fasting. They haven't lost all this weight, so they don't understand. We have seen it, and we have seen outcomes, and we have seen our outcomes, and they're different, right? But at the end of the day, I like the fact that he's promoting fasting in general, but there's better ways to do it. There's better ways to optimize it. So if you are struggling, there are things that you can do while you are struggling, and those are things that we give you in the challenge. But I'll say this. A lot of the juice fasting, it really negates a lot of those challenges and struggles because you are still feeding yourself a lot of those micronutrients that your body needs. And depending upon, of course, what it is that you may be dealing with, there are certain fruits and vegetables that you maybe want to add to your juice fast during this process. So at the end of the day, I would tell people this is where you would want to start. Because it lowers the barrier to entry. It's much easier to do, and it's much easier for people to accept in the beginning before you start moving into water fasting. But water fasting is, what I believe, is really going to get you where you want to go. And when I say where you want to go, I'm thinking, or I'm looking at it from the space of, I know the people that come. If you're like me, you're going to want to eventually get to water fasting. Because when you see those numbers, you're going to want them consistently. And this is the one space where you can actually get those crazy losses in a very short amount of time. And I did it myself.
So here's the deal. I see a lot of people asking about timelines. So we mentioned earlier that Stephen's complete transformation was 6 years, 200 pounds, no loose skin. But that's not telling the whole story, and we're not going to tell the whole story here on this live stream. Y'all are going to have to either join our challenge or head over to YouTube to get his whole story. It's hours long. However, I'm going to give you guys some nuance. Stephen also lost 100 pounds in 90 days.
Yeah.
Okay? So you would think, okay, if you could lose 100 pounds in 90 days, you could lose 200 pounds in 180 days. And you would be correct. You'd be pretty close. Okay? 180 days, 200 days, you could lose 200 pounds. However, that is the absolute fastest that you're going to lose weight. Someone was asking, I think, can you lose 200 pounds in 6 months? Technically,
Depends on how much you weigh, though, also.
of course. I mean, if you don't have 200 pounds to lose, you're not going to lose it. But if you have 200 pounds to lose, meaning that you're in the morbid obesity range, you're 400 pounds, and you've got 200 pounds to lose, you could do it in 6 months. The problem is, how realistic is it?
That's all I was gonna say.
Do you have the tools? Do you have the right motivation? So we don't like to talk about we don't want to talk about what's the best thing, what's the best outcome that you could ever get, right? We want to be more realistic because there are people that's going to lose 200 pounds in 6 months. There are. However, most of you guys are probably going to lose 200 pounds in 2 years, okay? That's a more realistic goal. And honestly, it gives you time to adjust because as Stephen mentioned, there's a mentality shift that has to happen with this whole thing. It's not just losing the weight. There's a lot that has to happen. You have to change your lifestyle. And then, the way people perceive you, there's so much in this wellness journey that at the very beginning you really couldn't comprehend. This is the benefit of having somebody who has been through it, knows what they're doing, or has worked with other people. This is why coaches exist, right? So I would say that realistically speaking, if you wanted to lose, let's say 100 pounds. Let's say you got 100 pounds to lose. You don't want loose skin, and you want to do that this year, 2024. That is a perfectly reasonable goal. That is going to give you time to transition your diet. It's going to give you time to, you also got to interact with your friends and family as well. Right? There's certain things that you're used to doing, going out, partying, drinking, doing birthday celebrations. You have to take all of that into consideration. You're probably not going to have a flawless journey. There's going to be ups and downs, as Stephen mentioned. Sometimes there's life events that happen that you never even calculated for.
Or can't calculate.
Right? You've got your normal stuff that happens, but then you have the stuff that's the unthinkable. You have to really look at all of these things holistically. And then you have to create a timeline for yourself that's reasonable. And then, of course, the more consistent if you start this journey with the best information, with the best motivation, and you are consistent, yes, you're going to get to your outcomes faster than anybody else, and it's going to be amazing. If you have a setback, depending on what that setback looks like, it could set you back a month. It could set you back 3 months. It could set you back 2 years. Right? It just depends. There's a lot of factors.
There's, when people ask me, well, Stephen, can I lose 200 pounds in a year, 2 years, right? And I'm like, that's a great question. And then I look back at them and I say, can you? Right? You ask me, can you do it? Will fasting allow this? Yes. But then it's like, well, can you? Because as you said, there's things that we don't expect to happen. And let me just tell you just very briefly, the reason that it took me so long is because I lost a certain amount of weight, and then I just was like, I'm happy, right? Not happy with my loss, but I became happy, right? I was in like I said earlier, I was in an abusive relationship. I was not happy with my relationship. I was a battered, beaten man. Emotionally, I didn't know how to cope with stress. I lived my life always doing things for other people, always as a people pleaser, always putting everyone else first. And for the first time in my life, I lost 100 pounds right? And then I started losing more, right? Because after that first 100 pounds, I continued to lose, right? But I slowed down because I was like, okay, I want to start living life, right? I was like, I got down to 280, and I was like, hey, man, these girls started to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I started getting attention that I had never got before. And with that type of attention, it distracted me from what I was doing. I was like, you know what? Well, maybe I don't need to get down to 200 pounds. Maybe I don't need to lose, maybe I don't. I'm starting to get these girls hollering at me, you know what I'm saying? Like, in my DMs, right? Like, and it completely distracted me, which at the time, I didn't care. There was no clock. There was nothing. I wasn't racing against time. I wasn't a coach. I literally just wanted to feel better. I wanted to be happy, right? And so there was no race. So yes, can fasting get you there? It can get you there as fast as you want to go, right? But the question that I ask is, can you do it? And it sounds really good right now. Like, yeah, I can do it. Okay. Right? When you start doing it, and then you start to realize that there's so much that's changing. As I said earlier, your fat is designed to help hold on to certain things, and it is a protective method. It's a security system for your body. And when you decrease the amount of security, then there are things that are going to start happening, and there's going to be floods of emotion that come back to you that are going to cause you to be crying. They're going to cause you to reach out to old friends and family or start cutting people off, right? Your entire life begins to change when you start losing large amounts of weight. And if you don't have anyone that tells you this, I don't hear anyone for real in the mainstream talking about this, right? But there's a huge flood of things that begin to happen as your life begins to change. When people start to treat you different and people start to look at you different. It's the same thing when someone goes and they win the lottery, and then all of a sudden everyone wants to be their friend. They get all this attention. Now they go broke, right? Or they go through a process where they get a new job, and then now they get a little bit of fame, or they get picked up by they're working at Walmart, and then all of a sudden someone heard a song that they put out on SoundCloud, and now they're famous, and they don't know how to deal with that, and they go bankrupt, or they end up getting hooked up with the wrong group of people. Like, things happen. So we have to look at that and understand that this is going to happen as well on this journey. So my life happened to me. And once again, looking at hindsight, everything happened intentionally, and it got me to where I am today. That got me to start, learning about psychology and the mentality of humans, and then taking my information of fasting and my experience, and then kind of bringing them together and combining them, and then creating the content that I create and being able to teach the things that I teach, because I can relate. I am one of you. I've been where you are, and I have been, and to be honest with you, I've been where you haven't been. I've been on the other side of it, and I've been everywhere in between. So there's a lot that I do understand, and letting you know, like, hey, listen, X, Y, and Z may happen. You need to be prepared for that. And honestly, if I would have known, if AHA was available in the way that it is now when I started, yeah, my journey wouldn't have taken this long. I would have dramatically moved through it faster. Probably would have got through it all in 2 years, and I'd be
Probably less.
Probably less, right? But there was when you're talking about creating something, because I've been here since the ground. But when you're talking, well, pretty much, I'm not gonna say I've been here since the ground. Chris was the ground. I'm like little above Chris, right? But when you're talking about creating, it takes time, right? When you look at Amazon wasn't Amazon that is today 10 years ago. It was a bookstore, and then all of a sudden they started growing. So that's the reason why the timing is what it is. But now you get the benefit of that, those blood, sweat, and tears, and through our experience.
Well, that's the benefit of people, sharing and not gatekeeping information, and be putting themselves in a position to create programs and spaces.
Oh my God, dude! Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I know people that literally have lost a majority of their weight with fasting, But because they feel like it was taboo, even though they used it and they got the outcomes, but because they feel like it was taboo and they don't want anyone to know that's how they do it, they promote their weight loss as they did it in the gym and through diet, right? Literally, and then sell programs. Like, this is how I did it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's not how you did it. I know you. I know you personally. That's not how you did it. Like, you're just lying. So if I know people that do that, then there's a lot of people that don't say anything, right? And as you said, it's gatekeeping because they think that, oh no, it's the gym, right? Because that's what gets the clicks, right? If you start a gym page and you're in the gym and you're working out and you're lifting, you look good, right? You're going to get probably much more traction than if you were just talking about fasting. Because it's fun. People like to see movement. They like to see, they like to see the outfits. They like to see the you got a pump going on. They like to see those things. But if you're just talking about, emotions and you're talking about fasting, you're talking about weight loss, it's not as exciting as the gym and looking at somebody throw up iron in some leggings and doing one of them poses where the booty's poked out. It's not fun. It's not exciting, right? But there's people that are out there using these tools that they have gained from AHA, and I'm not saying they're not giving us credit because at the end of the day, we don't need the credit, right? Karma gives us the credit, but don't be lied to.
Don't be fooled. No one is losing 100 pounds in a traditional manner without loose skin unless they're using basically what I've been talking about tonight, focusing on hydration. I saw somebody ask, can you use a home sauna? You can use a home sauna, but you want to make sure that you are hydrating well and you don't want to abuse that sauna. It's extremely important to understand balance. A lot of people try to use the saunas as a way to help accelerate the weight loss. There is a pace that the body wants to lose weight. Now, fortunately, you're listening to a team of people who understand that pace better than others. Even a lot of these PhDs that talk about extreme weight loss and all these sorts of things. That pace, depending on what methodology you're using, is going to be around 1 pound per day. That is the absolute fastest that you're going to lose weight, holistically speaking, okay? I know Stephen talked about losing 8 pounds a day, 7 pounds a day, 5 pounds a day. When we go across the board, there is a through line. Why do I know this? Because I have the data. We've been doing this for 7-8 years. We literally have hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands of testimonials, and I'm able to look and extrapolate the data and see what people are doing. What are the outcomes? 1 pound a day is the absolute fastest that you're going to see holistically, okay? Now, here's the thing. Does that mean that you're going to see an average of 1 pound per day? It depends, right? It depends. Stephen asked the question, can you do it? Someone said, hey, Stephen, can I lose 200 pounds in a year or 2 years with fasting? Stephen said, can you do it? You have the capability, but can you do it? I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to say, will you do it? There's a big difference between what you are capable of and what you are going to do. My question to you all tonight, I've been seeing the chat. I see y'all are talking. You want to do this, you want to do that, you're desperate. Okay. Can you do it? Yes. The question tonight is, will you do it? The link is in the description box. If you guys want to join, we have our JR72 starting. The introductory day is tomorrow. We're going to start our prep on Monday. If you guys can't find a link, you guys can go to www.ahawellnessacademy.com. Okay, it'll take you to our home screen, and in the menu bar, you will see challenges. Click that link, okay, ahawellnessacademy.com. At the top, in the menu, click challenges, and then you guys can click it'll take you to the landing page for the challenge. We want to see you guys on the inside. It is a 30-day process. The basic registration is $98. If you guys want to add some additional tools to your challenge, you can do that, either a caster pack or the appetite suppressant tea, which is going to help suppress your appetite during this challenge, making this thing an absolute breeze, right? I know some of you guys in there, you've done fasting before. Listen, if you have not done it the AHA way, you ain't did it the best way yet.
Gotta do it the AHA way.
Fast the AHA way. Come join us. Steve, you got any last words?
Hey man, if you guys, I don't know, man. Maybe I'll start posting on TikTok. We'll see what happens. But follow me at Stephen Michael Wellness on Instagram. That is Stephen Stephen. Don't spell my name with a V, please. Stephen Michael Michael Wellness on Instagram. I would appreciate it. And then I don't know, maybe the next month or so, I might start dabbling, throwing a little information on TikTok and see what kind of response I get with my content. But
hey, people are thirsty, man. They want this information.
But yeah, man. Other than that, man, my journey has been a journey, and through all the ups and downs, I have gained a lot of experience. I give a lot of that credit to Chris for helping guide me through that process, and kind of showing me what is possible. As I continue to grow through my process, right, you all will see that. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this. When you're talking about weight loss, right, we have to understand weight. And weight comes in many forms. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to ensure that the weight that you are losing is not weight that you want to keep, because not all weight you want to lose. You follow me on that, right? So you don't want to lose a ton of muscle, right? You don't want to be losing lean skeletal mass. The weight that you want to be losing is inflammation or inflammatory weight. The weight that you want to be losing is decreasing the fat stores in the body. So those are the types of weight that you. And through the JR72 and through fasting in general, you will lose the type of weight that you want to lose while being able to protect the weight that you want to keep, and that's important. So watch out for all of the, all the other stuff out there, the sauna, stuff like that, all the excess cardio, right? Oh, just going to the gym, and which I'm not saying gym is bad, but you can start losing weight that you don't want to lose, and the scale can be very misleading. So this is why we focus on fasting. So I hope to see you guys all in the JR72. And if you have any questions for me while you're over there, feel free to reach out. But we're going to be going live tomorrow, which will and we're there to help.
All right. Hey, follow me here on TikTok, A Healthy Alternative. If you guys want to join me over on YouTube, it's A Healthy Alternative. If you want to join me on Instagram, it's a.healthy.alternative. And we also have a private community. If you guys want to find out about that, click the link in the bio, scroll down, find AHA Communities. You can go to www.ahacommunities.com. You can join our free membership. I'm going to repost this live for y'all in case you didn't get the full thing. Actually, I'll paste it with the first live as well. And that's all we got for y'all tonight, man. I hope you have a great evening, and we hope to see y'all in that challenge. Peace.